It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and this is news that you can use, or as some have suggested, news that you can snooze from CarEdge with your hosts, Ray and Zach. Well, for the last day of August in 2023, August 31st. It's a Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, and how are you today, handsome?
I am doing great. All right, friendly reminder, today is the last day of the month. Oh no, it's not the last day of our sale, but it is coming up to the end of our 20% off of everything, $100 off. Vehicle service contracts back at CarEdge.com. And a friendly reminder for all the dealers out there that are interested in working with us, we are working on the CarEdge Trusted Dealer Network, CarEdge.com/trusted to learn more about that. That being said, Dad, we are kicking things off today with the affordability crisis getting even worse. I'm going to pick on the big three here in the United States in a moment. Before we do,
Yes.
The latest data from AAA just came out, Dad. They do an annual cost to own a new car.
Yes.
The headline reads, annual new car ownership costs surge above $12,000. We focus frequently here on car prices. The actual cost to just own the doggone thing and maintain it, repair it, insure it, finance it, fuel it. The costs to own a car are now over $12,000 on average, which translates to, Dad.
Yes.
Let me just read you this little piece right here. Make that nice and big for everyone. AAA has been a reliable data source for figures associated with owning and operating a brand new vehicle for more than 7 decades. Based on the latest figures, the average cost of owning and operating a new vehicle in 2023 has increased significantly, with the annual expense of $12,182, or a monthly cost of $1,015.
Wow. You know what's even more amazing?
What's that?
Is there is about 20% of people out there who have entered into a new car loan whose monthly loan payment is $1,000 or more. 20%. So,
but this is saying the average when you factor everything in.
I think
the
that
average person.
Yeah, but I think the average is going to go up.
This is 2022 cost.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. This is not 2023.
It's going to go up substantially because, in the past, if it was 8 or 9% of the people that had a car payment of $1,000 or more, it was a lot. Now it's close to 20%. So if 1 in 5 auto loans have a car payment somewhere over $1,000 a month, that number's got to go up. I wouldn't be surprised if that number's closer to $13,000 or $13,500 in reality, because obviously the cost of automobile insurance is going up because, the cost of automobiles has gone up. The cost of repair, if you have an accident, has gone up because the cost of the parts has gone up, the cost of the labor has gone up. So insurance premiums are going up. We know gas has gotten more expensive.
Yep.
The cost of maintenance has gone up. I'm thinking legitimately, it's well above $13,000 when you factor in the 20% of the public out there has a car payment of $1,000 or more.
All right, we've got Joseph here in the chat yelling, is that if you own the car outright? No. And so let's talk about it. You're hitting on some of the factors that contribute to a car payment, total car payment. Let's look at them all together here, Dad. Where AAA is seeing the largest growth? Let me read this right here. Furthermore, a high sticker price directly impacts finance costs, with this year's vehicles boasting an average annual finance charge of $1,253, a 90% increase from the previous year. So what's one area where we're seeing a material impact in terms of what the overall cost to own a car is? A 90% increase in finance expense year over year. It's also likely driven by...
Wouldn't that have something to do with the fact that interest rates have gone from 3% on new cars to over 9%?
Totally. All right, but here we go, Pops. Depreciation, which is the difference between the car's value upon purchase and the value of the car when sold, according to this year's YDC projections, new vehicles are expected to depreciate by an average of $4,538 per year over 5 years of ownership, up 24% compared to 2022. That's another area where we're seeing the cost to own a vehicle go up significantly. We're saying that in 1 year's time, the overall amount of depreciation that a car is going to experience went up 25%, 24%. That's astronomical.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
Yeah. This is saying that over 5 years, you're going to lose $22,000 in value on average on the car that you just purchased. Wow. While you're paying 90% more to finance it for more than 5 years, most likely.
Doesn't sound like a recipe for success for those who are buying a car.
The jump in new vehicle prices up almost $1,600 compared to used vehicle values that have experienced a decline in the past year. So that's another reason why annual costs have gone up. Automakers across the board have focused on producing more oversized, luxurious, and expensive vehicles loaded with extra features that bump up prices even more. So here's where we're going to run to next, Ed.
Okay.
No automakers are more guilty than the big three here in the United States. Ford's average transaction prices have never been higher. The average transaction price of a Ford from the most recent quarterly data we have is $56,270. We don't know how to do the slope equation live on the show, but the slope of this line is up and to the right. Okay, it's positive. Yeah. Dad, the average transaction price for the F-Series pickup truck, $66,013. That's Ford. Let me give you GM. GM, the average transaction price at GM is significantly lower than Ford, $4,000 lower at $52,451. But again, the slope of these lines up and to the right. And when you look at Chevrolet, for example, their average transaction price has gone from well below $40,000 to nearly $50,000. And then no automaker is more guilty than Stellantis.
Oh my God, yeah,
of going up market.
Yeah.
The average transaction price for a Stellantis product, that is Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and even Fiat, it's $55,577. If I'm not mistaken here, Jeep's average transaction price up to $53,000. Where's the Ram on here? Ram had the highest average transaction price at $62,058. The 1500 is a $65,000 pickup truck.
No, well, it's not. It's just the price is $65,000. The average transaction price, but it's not a $65,000 pickup truck.
So what do you make of the data from AAA, Dad? I guess it sounds like you think it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of ongoing constraints on affordability for not just purchasing vehicles, but owning them as well.
But we've been saying it forever. You know, that's one of the things we've talked about when we talk about vehicle affordability and how people should allocate money when it comes to their vehicles. You know, we have what I call the 10% rule, that no more than 10% of your monthly gross income should go to a car. So if your monthly gross income is $6,000, 10% would be $600. Well, that has to include the car payment. That has to include the insurance. That has to include gas and maintenance. It doesn't include depreciation. But at those average transaction prices that you just showed, there is no way for people just to keep the payment at $600 or less per month. So, you know, the American consumer is absolutely screwed, you know, because they're having to make decisions between, I don't know, putting food on the table and a roof over their head.
Yeah.
And making a car payment and an insurance payment and buying fuel for their vehicle. Which is why we see the percentage of people that can actually afford a car is lower than it's ever been. But it's still a big enough percentage that the manufacturers can, well, make a very healthy living.
I didn't have it queued up for today's show, but you saying what you just said sparked this thought in my mind. We saw the largest uptick in cash purchases last month that we've seen in a long time. I think it was something like 30% of transactions were cash purchases, which is remarkable. And that's because people are looking at the finance charge and saying, nope, I'd rather do a cash purchase. Yes. And we've also seen approvals, bank approvals for financing for autos go to their highest levels. The denial rate, go to its highest levels that we've seen in years. So it's harder than ever to get approved. It kind of makes sense that I'll use this as a parlay into the other story that I found.
Yes.
Super interesting. Who saw this coming? So we're talking about how there's an affordability crisis.
Yes.
Look at this data that we're about to dig into. Subprime Auto ABS servicers build support as losses rise. Here, we're actually going to read this article because it's really good information from an industry publication, Auto Finance News. Certain servicers of subprime auto asset-backed securitization transactions are forgoing their fees and helping build credit enhancements as cumulative net losses outpace initial expectations. Let's explain like I'm five. What we are saying here is that when paper is written, when loans are actually written, they get bundled together and they get sold as asset-backed securities. Well, now these servicers, so the banks that actually put out those offerings of ABS deals, the asset-backed securities, which again are just securities backed by auto loans, are foregoing their fees and helping build credit enhancements. They are charging the people less money. They're trying to keep more liquidity in the market because losses on those auto loans are outpacing their expectations. Really, the TLDR here is that there's more delinquencies happening and less people paying on their auto loans than was expected. And when you start to look at the numbers here, Dad.
But here's the really funny part to me.
What's the funny part?
What world were they living in when they set the expectations as low as they did for the number of loans that were going to go bad?
Look at these deals. Look at these deals, gang. So these are all the different deals. These are the bundlings of loans over here on the left. All right. The expected base case percentage at closing for losses on this bundle of loans was 3.41%. It's currently 6.4%. This one was 7.34%. It's currently 16.85%. This one was 14%. It's currently at 16.77. This one was 13.88%. It's currently at 17.06. This one is expected to get to 16.56, and it's currently at 14.13. There's 4 losers in this race and 1 winner. Essentially, this article is just like an alarm bell being rung saying that people have stopped paying their auto loans at, in some cases, double the rate that was anticipated.
Oh, yes. And the percentages on the right are what this organization predicts will ultimately be the case. So even though the current losses now are much higher than what had been anticipated, they're not nearly as high as they're expected to go. And every one of them was expected to cross 25% of all the loans that were bundled into these asset-backed securities are expected to be bad, to be delinquent. You know, and for them to say, well, the losses are greater than what we expected. What world were you living in when you looked at the credit histories of the people you were approving loans for, and you were approving loans up to 150, 160% of book value of the loan value of the vehicle?
Yeah.
I mean, what world does that make sense?
I like Drew's comment here, Pops. And the underlying asset, the car, probably isn't close to being worth what the loan was written for.
Oh, when we talk about loan to value ratios, if a bank is financing, if the vehicle has a value of $10,000 and the bank is financing 150%, that means they're financing $15,000. There's $5,000 that is uncollateralized. 50% of the value of the vehicle is uncollateralized.
Seems like a bad decision on everyone's part.
And they were doing that for people with below prime credit. Where in the past, I don't know, I worked in an industry where if you had bad credit, these lenders would say, well, we won't finance more than 90% of the value of the vehicle. So your customer has to come up with cash or trade equity to make up the difference so that you can have a profit. And now they were just saying, well, no, we'll pay you the profit up front. Your customer is never going to be able to pay us, but we'll pay you the profit. It was just none of it for any lender to say, well, we didn't expect this. They're lying. In my opinion, they could be lying through their teeth.
We've got a great comment here from Beverly saying, may I suggest you get a CPI on the show that specializes in banks and credit unions? There's a new accounting pronouncement called CECL that requires banks and credit unions to allocate more for delinquencies. Yeah, you know, we're actually thinking about one thing I'll mention on today's show. We've been talking about a little bit. I'm going to talk to some of the guys on the team this afternoon, getting a new podcast, like a once a week podcast setup where you interview industry experts. Like, let's get someone, you and an industry expert, for an hour talking about what's going on, whether it's a CPA who works in the audit, whatever. Like, we do need more experts.
Whether it be someone from the insurance industry, whether it be someone from the buy-sell side of automobile dealerships, whatever it is, someone from the service side.
I'm just throwing out there, Igor, if you're in the chat today, you would probably be one of the first people we'd want to interview. He owned what, 30 dealerships?
More than one.
More than one. Yeah. So we probably want to ask you some questions. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Thank you, Igor.
And you know, I have seen comments about, well, who does Igor think he is? And I thought to myself, I don't know. Here's a guy that owned like 30 dealerships, sold them for $1 billion. Okay.
In your opinion, $1 billion.
No, the amount was $1 billion. And then people wonder, well, who is he? I don't know. He has had a pretty damn successful career in the automotive space.
The idea behind that podcast would be to bring on industry professionals who can share their stories, how they got into it, and obviously educate us as we navigate these turbulent times. Let's go to the chat for a couple minutes here, Dad, and then we've got a few other stories from Ford.
Yeah, I would love to just sit down and
industry. I think industry insiders is what we should call it.
I think that's great. And
industry insider, I guess.
And I mean, yeah, we could do it as a podcast, but it would almost be fun. You might think I'm crazy when I suggest this, but it would almost be fun to be able to travel to wherever they are, sit down, have lunch, film the lunch and the conversation for an hour and a half.
I love it. My only issue with that
is you're not paying for the travel.
I'll pay for the travel. You're not going to actually do the travel.
Why?
I know you, man.
I would do that.
For once a week, we'd have to like film a whole season and you'd be like traveling a bunch. You don't travel well.
What do you mean I don't travel well? My God, I travel.
Come on.
No, wait a second. I travel better than you do. I took the whole family to St. Martin. I was pleasant the whole time.
Let's go to the chat here, folks. We got from Leon,
well.
My car insurance.
I just don't travel far.
Yeah, my car insurance just shot up 14%. No accidents, no points. Nada. Yeah, unfortunately, we're hearing stories like that.
Yes.
We've got here, Dad, from Marky Mark saying, whoops, will it come up on the screen? That is to be determined. Here we go.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where cars were considered cheap? I think pre-pandemic, they were still expensive, but it was a very different market than where we currently are.
I can remember when I first started in the business, 1977, and I was at that time, it was a Datsun. It was not Nissan yet. It was Datsun. And, we had the B210, which was our entry-level vehicle. Well, realistically, all the cars were entry-level. There wasn't really a nice one amongst them, but that's besides the point. And they had what they called the Honeybee, which was as base a B210 as you could get.
Yeah.
It was yellow, and it said Honeybee on it, and it had like black bee wings on the side.
Sounds pretty cool.
And if I remember correctly, it was like $1,749.
$1,749.
Brand new car.
1749.
Yeah, brand new car.
In 1977.
Yeah, brand new car. Brand new car. Okay, and if I remember correctly, I think there was about a $49 profit margin built into the car.
$49.
Yeah.
All right, let's all look at the screen. So you are saying, Pops.
Yes.
And $1 in 1977 is worth $5 today. So how much was the car price?
$1,749. No, $1,749. There you go. Times 5. So today that car would be $8,800 in today's dollars.
There's nothing even close to that.
Not even close to double. Hit my hand one more time.
Don't pick your nail on YouTube.
Jeez.
So you used to sell.
Brandon will travel
I
with me.
see it, Dad.
Yeah, I used to sell. Yeah, the B210 Honeybee.
The B210 Honeybee.
Yeah,
an $8,800 new car
in today's
world.
Yeah,
that doesn't exist anymore.
No, it hasn't existed for years.
What's the cheapest option in the market right now? We just got rid of the Mitsubishi Mirage, which was
what is
20.
It? The Nissan Versa? No,
wait, so let's actually. Oh yeah, the Versa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Let's come back here for a quick second. So 1977, the cheapest car you sold then was $1,749. Yeah. And that's eight. So it would be what, like $5,000 in that? I'm just trying to think where. Okay. So about a $5,000 car in 1977 is pretty much the cheapest car you can buy today. What could $5,000 get you back in 1977? Do you remember?
A lot more than a Honeybee.
What do you remember?
You know, I think that would have. I think that would have gotten you the Datsun 510, which was a pretty popular car. You know, it was interesting because our cheapest car was $1,749. Our most expensive car was like $700 or $7,500, which was a Z car, a 240Z, a 240Z. It was at that time it was a 260 or 280Z. Yeah, and you could get the 2+2 model, which was it had the rear seat that for kids.
Yeah.
And I if I remember correctly, that was about $7,500. So we covered from $1,750 to $7,500.
But I guess it's just so interesting to see that the price range in 1977 dollars. So you're saying, let's just do it again.
Yeah.
The cheapest car was
$1,749,
which in today's dollars
made us $50, $49 when we sold it.
Which in today's dollars is $8,822. What was the most expensive?
$75.
So we're saying $8,800 up to $37,800 in today's dollars.
Yeah,
and that was pretty much a Nissan dealership. It was Datsun, but it was pretty much
yeah. Well, a couple of years later, they changed their name.
Well, okay, but now let's just humor me for a moment.
Yeah.
So the most expensive Nissan Datsun that you sold back in the 70s was $38,000 in today's dollars.
Well, back in 1977.
Yeah, back in 1977.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to the CarEdge car search, and we are doing Nissan, and we're just filtering by new. Already, we're not even sorting by price high to low. Here's a Frontier for $45,000, an Aria for $57,000. There's a Leaf at $38,000, $61,000 Nissan. Like, this is just the first page of results stat, and I hate to say, one car so far, sub $30,000.
Yeah.
2, we got a Kixon at 3.
Yeah.
This, to me, speaks volumes to the inflation in price that we've seen in the car market. They've just chosen to make more expensive vehicles.
Well, part of it is
that was interesting.
Yeah, part of it they've chosen to make more expensive vehicles. But another part of it is that the government has mandated that there's more safety features built into vehicles. I can assure you that a 1977 Datsun Honeybee did not have much in the way of safety equipment.
What backup camera did it have?
The
one where you had to go like this?
Yeah, you turned your head.
Yeah.
Okay. And what power windows did it have? It was when you did this. Okay. If I remember correctly, the bumpers certainly weren't 5-mile-per-hour bumpers. They were, you hit something and it just, there wasn't much to them.
Yeah.
Okay. But it was a different time.
Totally.
And we didn't have ABS brakes, and we didn't have all the safety features. We didn't have seat belts, if I remember correctly. I don't even think it came with seat belts in 1977. At least the shoulder strap. It was just really a different world. A different world, and it wasn't even. You can't even say that it was the infancy of the industry, because the industry had started 80 years earlier.
70 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, I can only imagine what the car, I don't know. I remember in the 50s, my father was always a Rambler guy. And I remember.
What's a Rambler? I'll look one up. Yeah, I'll look one up.
They eventually became American Motors. But he was a Rambler, so we always had a Rambler. And I remember he taking me for a drive, having me sit on his lap while he's driving, steering. There wasn't a soft piece of anything on the dashboard. If you had an accident, okay, nothing gave on those cars.
Is this it?
Oh, yeah, they were rambling. Yeah, so nothing gave. The only thing that gave was your noggin, okay? Because there weren't seat belts. If you hit something, you just went flying forward into the windshield or the steering wheel, which didn't collapse at that time. So what collapsed was your chest.
Oh my god.
Okay, and my father, God bless him, I'm ever so thankful we never had an accident. I'd be dead.
Wow.
Okay, but so just in government mandates for safety alone are one of the reasons why cars have gotten as expensive as they have. But you would think, we keep saying it, but apparently there is no market for it. You would think that there should be a market for some really relatively cheap vehicles with things like roll your own windows. I mean, cars didn't have power steering back then. A lot of cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody that drove them had big damn muscles. You know, it was tuned your own radio. It was pretty unique.
Pops, let's come to the chat here, and then we've got our favorite segment of the show. Veronica, thank you for the contribution. Veronica is choosing between a 2018 Honda Fit EXL for $20,000 with taxes and fees, or a 2020 Mazda CX-5 for $27,500. Which one? Let's talk through a little bit the strategy, the way you think about comparing these two.
First off, I would think the 2018 Honda Fit EXL. That car in an EXL model in 2018 might have been 15 grand new, maybe 16 new.
Yeah.
So that to me seems high. Now, I'm not going to say to you that a CX-5, it depends on what model CX-5, because they only make about a dozen different models. Yeah, what trim. I think obviously the CX-5 is a lot bigger vehicle than the Fit, and a different style vehicle than the Fit. But we would need to know the trim level.
Yeah, we need, honestly, Veronica, feel free to toss the VINs in the chat and we can run some CarEdge reports and take a peek all together here. Let's just comment two comments. One thing is any used car, get a pre-purchase inspection. CarEdge.com, and then search for pre-purchase inspection. We have guides on how to do that, or search here on YouTube. The other thing is to determine a fair price. That Fit seems really expensive, but you have to run these market analyses because maybe that's the going rate for a Fit.
Well, but you also need to know this is like one of those 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzles that only have 9,996 pieces. You need to know things like trim level, and on the Fit we do. You need to know things like mileage. We need to know like history reports. Has it ever been in an accident? Things like that. So it is truly hard to say which would be the better value, but the deciding factor should be which one you like the most and is the most comfortable for you.
Well said, Pops. Well said. All right, let's pull up one comment here from Justice, and then we're going to do our favorite segment. He says, who else should Ray interview on a podcast? Yeah, let's get some suggestions, some wish lists, who we should have. That my dad, Jim Farley could be one of them. But Pops, take that sip of water, and then let's do it.
Really? You gotta be kidding me.
All right, so we've been talking today about affordability of vehicles, and from time to time, we've said some things tongue-in-cheek when automakers release their new EV plans, like the Cadillac Celestiq, and they've got that at like $250,000.
The Cadillac Celestiq,
whatever the heck it's called. Yeah. But Dad, look at this.
Yes.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Evidently seems to be the approach over at Ram. Ram gives the 1500 TRX a proper send-off. The new final edition is $120,000. It is the beginning of the end of the Ram 1500 TRX, and the car maker is giving it a proper send-off by unveiling the final edition.
Yeah.
It is the final pickup truck version with a Hemi engine. Dad, I think Ram, and really Stellantis in general, has been a bit of a playbook here. They continue to come out with final editions, night editions. It's literally just some like different badges and the biggest freaking engine they can put in their car.
Oh, sure.
And they charge an arm and a leg for it. What do you make of the fact that Ram's now going out with the TRX at $120,000 price point? It feels fitting, right? Fitting.
Who wouldn't want to overpay for a Ram pickup truck? I mean, obviously a specialized Ram pickup truck because
it's got extra badges, man.
Because it's got extra badges, it's got that Hemi engine, and in 20 or 30 years, maybe 40 years, when you run that son of a gun through Barrett Jackson, you might be getting $250,000 for it. Who knows? Just keep it in the garage, never drive it. You know, there are car collectors out there that just they want to have stuff. They want to have it. You know, they buy stuff not to drive it, just to say they have it. Okay, I don't get it. You know, but basically, I drive a car. Well, I have a car, not really to drive it because I don't really put very many miles on. I don't know why the hell I buy a car, but it just seems for a mass market pickup truck, even though the TRX version of it is not
specialized one.
It just seems kind of ridiculous. I know, just everybody knows I drive a Mini. Well, if you don't know it, you know it now. And I drive a Mini Clubman, and next year is the end of the Mini Clubman again for this again. And they are literally coming out with what they call the final edition. Now, I can assure you that Mini's final edition Clubman ain't going to be anywhere near 120,000 or 100,000 or you know, even 50,000. It's just these manufacturers, they see things and they go, we can get away with this.
Because I'm telling you, it's a playbook. Stellantis had that Jeep, the 392, I think is what it's called, that has the huge engine and like 800 horsepower. It's a Jeep Wrangler with a bunch of horsepower.
Yeah.
They did it with the Dodge muscle cars, saying it's going to be the final, you know, combustion engine muscle cars, get the special edition. They're doing it here. They've done it with the TRX already. Now they're doing the final edition of the TRX. And I really think it's a playbook. They look at it and they're like, wait, we just put some special badges on stuff.
Yeah.
And people will pay an arm and a leg. And we say there's only going to be a certain number of them. And there you go.
And if you do it really right, to get 120, you number them. You say,
that's exactly
You say, hey, there's going to be 500. Or I don't know how many Ram dealers are there in the country.
They each get one. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so if there's 2,000 or 5, you know, well, I got one of 5,000. You know, I remember when at Acura we had an NSX, and Alex Zanardi was a race car driver.
Yeah.
And they made the Zanardi edition NSX. There were 50 of them in the world. Okay, 50. And they were all numbered. Oh, and by the way, Alex had number 1. Okay, so there were 49 that were for consumption. That's something where you can go, I got one of 50.
But how weird is it to see mass market brands pull that? Ferrari does it, makes sense. An NSX, I got it.
Yeah.
A TRX, you know, final edition, a Jeep. Anyway, I just found it to be pretty fascinating, pretty interesting. Friendly reminder, again, back at CarEdge.com, we're going to call out a particular resource, free resource today on the show. But I just want to remind everyone, save 20% on everything. Ends soon. $100 off on vehicle service contracts. Ends soon as well. That being said, we talked about the community forum as being one of our great resources. I'm going to choose another one today. We are working on, I'll click on dealer reviews.
Yes.
We are working on dealer reviews 3.0, 4.0. That's currently in flight by our team. There are over 3,437 dealer reviews that have been submitted. So you're trying to find a good dealership to work with. Go under resources, click on dealer reviews, and we are working on a whole new interface for this just as well. And in the same breath, if you are interested, whether you're a car dealer or just one of our community members, caredge.com/trusted. Go read about how we're working on the CarEdge Trusted Dealer Network. I'm going to show you something, Pops, get your feedback live on the show. We've already got a couple dealers that we're working with.
Good, my feedback.
All right, here's the CarEdge promise.
Yes.
The dealer must abide and commit to the following: pre-negotiated pricing, no hidden fees or add-ons, delivery to a customer's home, and allow a CarEdge concierge to facilitate the deal. How do you feel about that?
As long as I'm not the concierge, I think that's because I'm planning on traveling to interview some industry insiders. I think it's the first step towards really trying to change the industry, to prove to dealers out there. And lucky for us, there's like 18,300 franchise dealers out there. So we've got a lot of opportunities ahead of us. But it's our opportunity to prove to them that if you make your dealership similar to how Tesla operates or CarMax operates, in the sense that there's pre-negotiated pricing, there's no hidden fees. They'll deliver a vehicle to your house, and you actually have someone at the dealership who is a specialized representative to facilitate all of that. That is the recipe for actually changing the industry. The good news is you have a lifetime's worth of work ahead of you.
I do have a lot of work ahead
because there's 18,300 franchise dealerships in America. But the even better news is that ultimately we will bring the industry kicking and screaming into the 21st century, so that consumers can have the type of experience that they're entitled to when they're spending the kind of money that they have to spend.
And hopefully, honestly, dealerships can operate even more efficiently. Like, you don't have, like, imagine a world where you're not having to negotiate. How great would that be?
Yeah.
And we set the pricing. We make sure that it's fair. Our CarEdge report shows you that you're not getting ripped off. You might not get the unicorn deal, but you're getting a fair price. That is, I'm putting you on the spot here. This is the first time you've seen this on the website, so I just wanted to get your take on it. There's a couple other things on here that we could talk about, but we'll save that. We'll save that for another show.
No, I just it's about time. That's all. It's about time, damn it.
Oh, yay. We get to help Veronica out. We'll end the show with this. Veronica, thank you for the contribution. You do not have to contribute to get our car buying help. Go to the community forum. That being said,
yes,
we got some VINs here, so let's do it. It is tricky. I just want to comment to everyone. So as you see me struggling here for a moment,
yes,
it's impossible to copy and paste out of the YouTube comments. So give me a second to write down these VINs. And I'll show everyone here. I'll show everyone what I'm doing as we're doing it. So I'm going to log in to my CarEdge account. We're going to help Veronica figure out what's a fair price here. I'm going to go to the CarEdge report, and I am going to now start to copy this VIN. 3HGG K5H09JM710332. Okay, so this is the Honda Fit, Dad. Hopefully, hopefully I didn't get a typo. Okay, it seems like it's working.
Well, until it's not.
Oh, hey, come on. It seems like it's working.
The good news is you still have 7 reports left.
Okay, so this is being sold by an independent dealer, Auto Savvy, in Gilbert, Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh.
I don't know Auto Savvy.
It's only 23,000 miles.
Yeah, that seems rather low for an 18.
It does. Okay, so they're asking 18,000. Our algorithm thinks there's about $1,000 in negotiability there. Wow, look at this.
Yeah.
8 similar vehicles are listed for sale, but this makes sense. Within 1,000 miles, the average seller price is $20,000. The average mileage is 47,000. Well, it's a 2018. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're actually advertising a lower price than the competitors. Let's look at what those other options are. Let me come down here really quickly. So here are your other options. We've got Austin, Texas Cars and Trucks.
Yeah, it's got 116,000 miles.
This one. So this seems, based on mileage and price, relative to others in the market, seems competitively priced.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's still
doesn't mean it's a fair value, but it seems competitively priced. The next thing I would want to look at, Dad, let's actually go to the listing. So they've had it for 78 days. I'm going to go to the dealer website. So let's come down here. I'm just curious if they have the Carfax. I'm not seeing a Carfax. Yeah, I'm not seeing a Carfax. So that's my spidey sense is saying, go look at the Carfax.
Yeah.
What's on the vehicle history for this Honda Fit? That's where my mind goes. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. Because, I listen, if the person that had the Honda Fit was like me and drives like me, then yeah, that could be legitimate miles.
But also has low miles in this insanely low price relative to others in the market.
And if it has low miles, because I don't know, it had a major accident and it was repaired, that'd be something else altogether.
All right. So then the other one that Veronica's looking at that is a 2018 Grand Touring Mazda. So let's jump back to the CarEdge report here. Let's hope that I got that VIN correct.
Oh, you've got 6 more reports that you can find.
I know a guy who might be able to get me some more.
You know a guy who knows a guy?
All right, so this is for the Mazda, the CX-5 Grand Touring, 43,000 miles. This is at Easy Keys Autos in Houston. We think there's about $1,400 off of the seller price on this one. Okay, let's look at this. There are 9 similar, so this would be Grand Touring CX-5, 2020 Grand Touring CX-5s for sale within 200 miles. Their average asking price is $23,811 and an average mile. So they're high on price.
And what was the miles on the vehicle?
43.
Okay.
And then those that have sold recently have sold at $24,350 with an average mileage of 41. So these 2 data points tell me that their asking price is a little high. That's what that's telling me. And then if we come down below, they're 9 out of 10 on price.
Yeah.
And they've been holding on to it the longest in the market. I'm saying that this one's the better value because this is 2018. I thought she said it was a 2020.
2020, yeah.
I thought she said it was a 2020.
Yes, she did. In the but now it's
a 2018.
Yeah, before it was a 2020. In the first question.
Oh man, I think I'm going fit with a vehicle history report.
You need to know about that fit. You need to know everything that's there.
Well, absolutely. But I think what I'm seeing with this one, Dad, is they're 9th out of 10th on price.
Yeah.
But they're 10 out of 10 so they've been holding on to it for a while, but they haven't really come down on price. That says to me they're not really interested in selling it.
Yeah, and they're 2 different markets. One is in Gilbert, Arizona, and one is in Texas.
So which one? You're telling Veronica which one are you pointing her towards? Or what is the next step you're telling Veronica to do? Vehicle history reports on both?
Yes, exactly.
And if the vehicle history report for the fit comes back clean, I'm probably looking at that one. Personally.
I would.
But
a PPI is
a pre-purchase inspection.
Yes, very, very important.
Hopefully, we see the comments in the thank you, Leon. Absolutely get a pre-purchase inspection. Hopefully that's helpful for everyone to see. That's how we use the tools that we've built over the past couple of years to actually identify, like what's a fair value to pay for our car. Okay, let's call it a show.
Okay.
We'll be back tomorrow.
That's my plan. I don't know about you, but that's my plan.
All right.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
Ooh. Good comments from the chat. Auto Savvy says salvage title cars.
Well, that's why you need
You don't even need a PPI for that one. You're just avoiding Auto Savvy. So the Auto Savvy was the fit. We are avoiding a fit with a salvage title.
You need to know if it has a salvage.
If it does.
Absolutely. It's not worth 10 cents.
Yeah. Well, it's worth more than 10 cents, but in my opinion.
Yes. In your opinion, yes.
In my opinion, we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, at 8 a.m. Anchorage time, 6 a.m. in Honolulu. And for all of our followers and fans in Manila, once again, it'll be midnight in Manila, ladies and gentlemen, for news that you can snooze.